I just started a nonprofit myself about social health. My nonprofit, I hope, will be to encourage social health, belonging, and friendship initiatives.
Good.
Feeling like a vulnerable child and having a stutter. You said something to me off camera. You exemplified the stutter.
I may not be able to talk, but I could kick your ass.
Right.
I was in hell when my wife was killed in an auto accident and she was in my arms. I said, baby, live. I love you. Breathe.
I'm going to bring up something that you said about what defines a friendship.
You're just accepting, you just feel comfortable, you feel at home, and it's someone I know I could turn to. They are better than a priest at confession, you know? And I've never liked to feel judged. And like, if you do judge me, fuck you. That's what fuck you.
We fall down, but we get up.
Welcome back to Hometown Friends as we explore our foundational friendships as they are the building blocks of our social development. This podcast is all about where we belong and whom we belong with. My guest on this episode is Arnold Perkins, and he will share a powerful story of resilience, leadership, and community transformation. He has a remarkable journey that begins in the Jim Crow South and takes us through a lifetime of service and activism and personal growth. Arnold moved from segregated Florida to Berkeley, California, setting the stage for a lifetime of impactful work. We learn about his father's migration from the Bahamas, his own journey from street fighting to community healing, and his struggles with a speech impediment and the ways that he built empathy and strength. Despite his early obstacles, Arnold's transformed into a master communicator and community leader. We will hear why his nickname was Gator, how he protected his friends from bullies, and how he lived in both hell and heaven. His diverse career, which included the director of the Alameda County Public Health Department, helped him develop his stewardship style of leading organizations. Arnold currently serves on many board of directors, including the UCSF Cancer Center, Alameda County Juvenile Justice Commission, and the Mentoring Center. His impact has been nationally recognized, including by the California Endowment's Health Equity Founders Award and the creation of the Arnold X. Perkins Award for Outstanding Health Equity Practices. His story is a testament to the power of resilience, trust, and unwavering dedication to changing lives and communities. In this interview, I also announce the formation of my new social health organization that I'm launching to address the loneliness and isolation crisis. Please enjoy this interview with a man I've had incredible respect for, a father figure, and a hometown friend. Mr. Arnold Perkins, welcome to the Hometown Friends podcast.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here with you and to share my thoughts and hear your thoughts, and happy to engage in a dialogue. So I hope that this is not a monologue, but it's a dialogue that we learn from each other.
You know, this podcast for me, Arnold, is about where we are from, all of us, where we are from and whom we belong to, where we belong and whom we belong with. And I wanted to start off this interview with asking, tell us where you're from and where you belong.
So I'm from Miami, Florida. I was born in September 19th, 1941. In Miami, I was born actually at a high school, Dorsey High School, which is still in Miami. And my father was a head custodian, and I lived there until I was 5. So I was able to hang out in the halls of education.
Wow.
So I got a good start. I was like the mascot for the football team, you know, because I was a little kid just running out on the field and doing all kind of crazy stuff. I belong to my family and to the community because I'm a community servant, and that's my role, is to serve the community.
I appreciate that, and that's something I've always admired about you.
The majority of the things that my family did was in community. I mentioned that I learned friendship and commitment from my community. When I was growing up, they would drill wells. So my father and his friends would get together. They would make a little stand that you could stand on. They would take a pipe and put it in the ground. They would put a piece of wood on top of it. And they would use a sledgehammer to drive that pipe in the ground. And in Florida, there's a lot of coral. So they drive to the coral. And then they would put a pump on top of the pipe and they pour water down the pump to prime the pump. And if water didn't come up, they get it down a bit further until they struck water.
Wow.
I saw that. I saw Mr. Cyril Higgs, who was an African-American man from the Bahamas who owned a ship. And he would go to Panama. They'd sail from Panama to get bananas and come into Miami with the ship. And then whoever turn it was to go down to the port and get bananas for the community, we would do that. So if it was my family's turn, we'd go and get bunches of bananas. And so we would go and we would distribute.
Yeah. A community that is close, that has deep connections, that has acceptance and bridging between all kinds of people, and is a much more healthy and resilient community.
And first of all, community is about belonging and having a sense that like you belong to something. But when I was born in Miami, it was a segregated South. So there were signs that said, no niggas, no Jews, no dogs. When I got on the bus, you would go get on the bus in the front, put your money in, get off the bus and go to the back door and get in the bus on the back door. The front part of the bus could be totally empty. And there was a sign that said colored. And a nice bus driver might move the sign up 1 or 2 seats, but it could be empty up front and we'd stand in the back. On the train, you were right behind there were coal burning trains with steam engines, and you were right behind the engine of the train. And the whole notion was to put you in your place, and I was not to be puttable in any place. And that I was raised with tremendous pride within my family. I have kind of West Indian roots, and West Indian, the Bahamas, are very proud people.
Can you tell us a little bit about that transition from moving from a Jim Crow South to Berkeley, California?
E-Town. I came to California when I was in May of 54. I was 12. I turned 13 in September of 54. So I came out to California early, and I've been here ever since and love the Bay Area. Gee whiz, I had a great growing up. I mean, outside of the stories, that I've told. So in my block in South Berkeley, it was a whole cadre of young men and young women. And we really supported each other. I mean, we really supported each other in any way you can imagine. We would share whatever we had, if it was food or whatever. We would hang out on the corner and talk and bullshit. We'd go to the park, to Grove Street Park, and play ball, either softball, baseball, basketball, football. It was just a really comfortable childhood. You could go to anyone's home, anyone's house, and have dinner or lunch.
Take us into your adolescence and, of course, the friends that shaped yourself. What was Berkeley like back in the 50s?
It's interesting. I moved from an open Jim Crow South to a Jim Crow North. So if anyone knows Berkeley, there's University Avenue. And if I were to go across University Avenue and a cop would see me, he would ask me what was I doing across on the other side of University Avenue, So I grew up in South Berkeley on the Oakland border. The racism and prejudice wasn't out in front as it was in the South, but it was still there, and
Yeah.
it's still there to this day. I started at Golden Gate Academy. I stuttered really bad, and I still stutter, but I stuttered really bad, and but I could fight. And so I got the name Gator because I was tough and I would fight you. So if I thought you were teasing me, I would be on you because I didn't want you to make me look bad.
No one likes being teased.
No, they did not like that. I did not like to be humiliated and the butt of the joke.
Let me ask a little bit about that sort of feeling like a vulnerable child and having a stutter. You said something to me off camera or before. You exemplified the stutter and then what you might say to somebody. Can you do that for us?
So kind of in my head, and I said verbally, I may not be able to talk, but I could kick your ass.
Right.
And I always fought for friends. I went to Golden Gate Academy, and I got suspended and expelled from there for fighting. But those both times were fighting for friends, not for myself.
So like protecting your friends.
Always. And to this day, I will protect family and friends.
Tell me about the other, and I want to get into the leadership thing because that really seemed that you're having to go through all those times of the Jim Crow South and people not really giving you the respect that every person needs and deserves based on racism. And then this redlining in Berkeley that I don't think a lot of people, at least in my generation, we didn't grow up with any redlining. But as you say, it could have already been sort of an informal redlining. And then coming to, Berkeley High. And what tell us about some of the friends that helped you navigate Berkeley, and then get us into what Berkeley was like a little bit for you guys growing up.
It was exciting.
I know you were in SNCC. I know you were in the same neighborhoods as the Black Panthers.
I went in service. I got out of service, went to college, went to San Francisco, went to Merritt College as the Panthers were farming, and knew and know Huey and Bobby Seale and some of the other Panthers. They were friends. I chose to go into SNCC with Jimmy Garrett, who was the kind of West Coast rep, and is still a wonderful friend to this day. We don't see each other that much, but he's a great friend. And
was that like a specific conscious choice? Was that a choice to either Panthers or SNCC, or was it different? Tell us about that. I'm curious about that a little bit.
It was a conscious choice. So when I went to Merritt College, Grove Street University, we called it, is when Bobby and Huey formed the Panthers. I happened to have a family at that point because I've been a parent since I was just turning 19.
Oh, wow.
And so I couldn't hang out like other folks. So I went to school from like 9 until 2 and worked from 3 to 11 on psych at Herrick Hospital. And then I would go up to Cal and study until 1 or 2 in the morning. And then I would go, back to work because I wanted to make sure that I did well in school. And so I spent many nights up at Cal in I forgot what building, but it was the library that opened all night, sleeping on that table in drag and going home. And so that's probably one of the reasons I didn't join the Panthers, because I had family. When I finally got the GI Bill at San Francisco State, then I had a little bit more time. And so I went south for part of a summer with SNCC. And I was one of the founding members of the Black Student Union. I mean, I wasn't in the leadership, but I was one of the members with Mariana Wadi, um, Chuck Sizemore, Jimmy Garrett, um, etc.
Wow.
And so,
History.
so I had the time and space, even though I still work, but not as much, to join SNCC and to go to Vine City in Atlanta, and which was a great experience. And so that was the basis of my organizing. I think I got those organizing skills. I had them in me, but they really matured in SNCC, and they benefited me the rest of my life, whatever, an organizer. I'm a connector, and I value my ability to connect.
That's beautiful. Well, it sounds like, you've spent your life, I know, doing activism and believing in things that were bigger than yourself, like the civil rights movement. I'm curious about other, things that you believed in. And then I'm also curious about you then, sort of made that a career in a lot of ways. So it is interesting. The history of Berkeley is of activism and social protest.
I taught at McKinley, which is the continuation school for Berkeley. So I taught during the American Revolution. And the American Revolution was when the students took over Cal. Mario Savio, Rossman, when those guys and ladies took over the campus. Well, I had students, and we were up in the American Revolution when John Rector got shot on the top of the building. Shot and killed. One of my students also got shot, and so we were right in the midst of it. We were. Miles, our youngest, and our oldest, Kevin, got tear gas because we would go up and take part in the proceedings, up at Berkeley. Miles was probably 2, 3, 4 years old. Wow. And so we would go and take part. We took part in a march where there was so many people. It was like 200,000 people marching from Cal's campus down to the Navy Supply, which is way down in West Oakland. So as far as the eye could see, March. So we took an active part. We were activists in all of those activities because.
And what were you protesting at that time?
The Vietnam War.
Yes.
And so we were opposed to the Vietnam War. I took part in the sit-ins in San Francisco, Auto Row, when they were being racist, and in the hotels. There are 2 hotels that we sat in on. We closed down because we wanted our rights, and we wanted not to be treated as second-class citizens. Between the civil rights movement, or the right to be treated civilly, and the Vietnam War, we protested. We put it on the line. It was just an incredible time.
Well, you'll be happy to know that I've raised an activist, and she's out there on the front lines.
Good.
Pretty much more sometimes than I would like, but that's only because I'm protective of her. But because of people like you and my mother and the generation and my ancestors that did put themselves on the line, I think other young people are doing it. Maybe not as many, and certainly the value of doing something bigger than yourself is a human thing, right? That's something that I don't think we will lose, but I do think that we can be demotivated to do it, and it is hard, and doing hard things is not easy. And again, you guys laid the groundwork for a lot of people who continue to do that. So I have some faith. Tell us a little bit about how that changed, that community organizing, that activism changed into a career for you, because I know you were the head of public health for Alameda County for many, many years. Tell us a little bit about your career and what you learned from friends there too.
So I've always had, not always, in my later years as I've worked, I've always had a commitment to stewardship. I'm not big on leadership, because leadership changes all the time. we think that we are leaders, but sometimes we are, sometimes we aren't. But stewards means that I take what I do, I take the responsibility for what I do seriously, and I do everything I can to cause it to happen. I've been fortunate to be in a number of situations where I've been the lead steward in activities, whether it's the public health department, whether it's youth advocates, whether it's the California halfway house, whether it's teaching, whatever it is. I've probably, when I was with the public health department for 13 years, I might have been somebody's boss for maybe 3 times. And what I mean by that is there was something that needed to be done and they didn't want to do it. And I told them that they had to do it. Probably 3 times out of 13 years, 3 or 4 times. I worked for the staff and the community. And most people have it twisted. Most people say, well, I work for the board of supervisors. No. They work for me. And that would always rub them, some of them wrong, because they actually did work for me because I work for the community and they had the money from the community.
That endeared you to your staff, in air quotes, and that there's loyalty in making the relationship horizontal, right? To not have this top-down myth, if you will, that the power balance, you knew that was more powerful given your activism and your community building from the beginning.
That's right. And that's what I learned from my organizing. If the people are for you, I have up here now, nothing about us without us is for us. I'm looking at it right now.
Beautiful.
And I believe that nothing about us without us is for us. And I believe that. And so with the department itself, I work for them. And I made it clear that I work for them. And so I had this year-long planning session where anyone could sit at the table every other Friday, and we would move like this. We'd move forward, we'd move back, move forward, move back, because anyone could be at the table. And I had 3 rules. No discussion of money, because you'd say, that's too extreme. We can't do that. No definitions, because in health, you put things in boxes. And the third one was to play. So I had all these little cars on the table and little pipe cleaners and little wooden things. And I wanted people to play, because I want you to play with like ideas. And so that was unusual for people who will work for the county to do it.
Yeah, there's something so valuable about learning from other people, first of all. Second of all, of learning these concepts of being able to make things happen with decisions, and yet in a style that takes into consideration everyone's voice. It's really,
that is exactly it. That's it. Yeah.
It's really, it's a great lesson, I think. Well, for me personally, just as I try to, direct my career and maybe even, teach other people how to do that. I just started a nonprofit myself about social health, because I believe that we all we're in such a place in this society where we're so individually focused, and we have been for so long. And of course, these technologies, as good as they can be to connect us, they can also isolate us and make us a lot more lonely. And the Surgeon General a couple of years ago has declared that we have an isolation and loneliness epidemic, because the truth is it's worse for us to be disconnected to people than smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And so my nonprofit, I hope, will be to encourage social health, belonging, and friendship initiatives. And so this is really informative to me. So thank you for that, because this has really just got me thinking about how can I lead an organization that takes into consideration everybody's voice, that everyone belongs, and yet there's always there needs to be decisions made, and that's a respectable leadership style to make things happen and then go on to the next decision.
Well, part of it is, it's not my will be done as our will be done.
Yeah.
And we often miss we get the will be done, but we miss the first part.
Yes.
And so it's our will be done and not my will be done. And we get hung up on my will be done. So that's kind of my so-called lead style of stewardship.
Do you think that, I know that you had said that you grew up in a religious community. Do you want to talk about that at all, or was that an influence there?
Sure. No, it was a big influence. I grew up as a Seventh-day Adventist. I come from a prominent Seventh-day Adventist family. My uncle was the fundraiser for the Seventh-day Adventist Church. He was the Secretary of Stewardship. And so I was in a prominent family, but I never got the notion that someone would burn someone in hell. That just never made sense to me. And so I love the camaraderie of the church, and the fact that the reason we're in California now and my parents got work is because of the church, and what a powerful institution it is. But I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, and I believe in the ancestors. I have never met Jesus. I've never met God. I haven't. But I've met my father, my mother, my grandparents. And so I know the goodness that they bring. My God is a feeling of being positive, giving out great energy, feeling good about the things that I do. And so if I'm not feeling good about things, then that's the other side. That means that I'm not being godly. And so my goal is to be godly and not someone who's going to come down from the clouds, or not someone who's going to burn you up. And so I have mixed feelings about it. On one hand, I'm so thankful that I was raised a Seventh-day Adventist because of the values it gave me. But on the other hand, it's a business. And heaven is within, because I've been in heaven, I've been in hell. I was in hell when my wife, Susan, was killed in an auto accident. I was in hell. I mean, that was one of the worst times in my life ever, 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 ever. I was sitting in hell, and someone had to signal me that she had left the earth. And she was in my arms. I said, "Baby, live. I love you. Breathe."
You were raising a family at that point, right? This is where I met Miles, right after his mom died. And Miles is your son and my friend, and this is how I know you. But I had heard that story, and I can only imagine losing a spouse to something so tragic.
That was hell. Heaven was, one of the heaven times was when Miles got married, and we were over in Maui in Hawaii. And he got married literally in the water, in the ocean. And the men came from one side, the women came from another side, and they met, and Miles and Trish were the focal points. And so that was the beginning of heaven. And then Miles' reception was maybe a mile or two down the beach in this house. And the sun was so beautiful. It was, oh my God, it was just, and the setting, the surrounding was heavenly. And so I've been to heaven and I've been to hell. So faith, religion, all that is an important part of my life, and it's given me blessings. It's been an example for me of how to live life, and watching other saints, as it were, other really good people.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends are saints, they've gone on, and some are still living. So
how did the friends fit in there? And what are these friends that you've known for a long time? Of course, that is the focus of this podcast, is friends from these long-term friendships from our hometowns that we've grown up with, that we've known for a long time, who've seen us change over time. There's a difference about those friends. So I'm curious of your thoughts about it and the people, that specifics.
My friends are tried and proven people. I mean, they're just, they're people who, I don't have a lot of close friends, I have a lot of people that I like, but that I have few close friends. There's one group that Joel is a part of called the Fellas, and we get together probably every other week. We're supposed to get together yesterday, but it was raining, and the spot we have was wet, and so they called it off. But Joel and I did spend time together. He and I got together and just hung out, and so these are friends. Then I have friends who have passed on. Tom Walker, dear friend. Duke, dear friend, and we just kind of they were friends that I dropped by their house or they dropped by my house, and not call, you just drop by. That's they were that.
I'm going to bring up something that you said about what defines a friendship or the best qualities of it. You said someone who is non-judgmental and that you can confide in. Can you say more about what you mean by that and how that defines your current friendships or has defined your friendships?
Well, often people judge you, they size you up, they judge what you say. They'll take one piece of what you say and judge you on it. And to me, friends, they don't judge you. They're part of your belonging, and they have your best interest at heart. And they would tell you the truth. I mean, they don't bullshit around and paint it up. They just say, hey, man, this is what I see, and you take it. You don't get defensive because you know that they have your best interest at heart, and they love you and they care about you. And love and friendship is so important. I mean, friends are people that you love, you do anything for, and they're people that you feel comfortable with.
Yeah, it's effortless, isn't it? When you
Yeah,
really know someone that well for so long, that's a very profound experience, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very comforting.
It
I mean,
is.
it's comforting when you could go to someone and they're going to wag the finger at you and, oh, that was dumb, that you was stupid. And, you don't, there's someone who just listened to you and say, okay, that I would, have you thought about it this way? Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. And not, well, you should have thought about it. And you didn't think about it. That was dumb on your part, And you walk away feeling stupid and feeling judged. And I've never liked to feel judged. And like, if you do judge me, fuck you. That's, that's what fuck you. Kiss
Well,
my
but
ass.
that
Well, and for me, friends are people that like you can listen to, and not have your guard up, because if your guard is up, you waiting to cut them off or whatever. But friends, I mean, you're just accepting. You just feel comfortable. You feel like you feel at home. It's just all those adjectives. It's just I don't worry about what friends, and it's someone I know I could turn to. I mean, if the shit is bad, you could call and say, hey man, I'm really having a tough time with this, or I did something that I'm really shamed about. What are your thoughts? And it's they are better than a priest at confession.
and I love that you are being a friend to people that are disenfranchised, right? That you've actually, the work that you're doing at San Quentin, these are folks that have been completely marginalized and disenfranchised for a number of reasons, and they are locked up.
Well, I'm the guy that will see you on the street unsheltered and give you $20. Because and I don't care what you do with it. I'm not going to judge you or you're going to buy some dope. I don't care what you do. Because it's I have it, and if I don't give it, I'm not my brother or like sister's keeper. So it's like people say, well, why did you do that? Well, why not? Why not? Because people always say, well, why do you do that? My answer is, why not? I just want to be able to feel good about my life and feel good about my contribution and feel good about my friends, and to be honored that I have friends,
Yes.
that I could recognize that I have friends, people that care about me, people that I care for, whether it's my wife who I love, who takes care of me, who,
Well,
it's
that's a friendship, isn't it? I mean,
it's a deep and abiding friendship.
yes.
One of the things in the wedding ceremonies that I do is I talk about, your mate. There's a deep abiding friendship when you join someone in marriage, and friendships, they could go through tough times, but the fact, I mean, you could have a hard time with a friend and get angry with them, but you come back together because they're a friend.
What kind of other advice would you give people?
You could break each of my fingers off, but when you come together, it's hard to do that. And this is the metaphor that I live with. I don't want to operate like this. I don't want
With your
my family
hands
to operate
spread.
like this.
You
I
want
want
to you want to have your
Exactly. I
fist.
want to bring it together because you have to pry this to get it apart. You could break this off. So I'll do anything for friends, or I'll do anything for people who are struggling.
Wow.
That's my commitment as a human. There are two or three things that I live with every day. One is, blessed be the tie that binds. And in my back pocket right now, I carry this wherever I go. And within this,
What is it? Describe it for the people that are listening, Arnold, and
it's
not listening.
I'm sorry. It's a pouch. It has all kind of things in it, including a piece of leather. And and so I could tie this leather. It reminds me that we get tied in a knot. And the tighter we pull the knot, the harder it is to get unknotted. And so my lesson is to remind myself to let go so that I could be a straight line and not a knot. And so one of my favorite things is, blessed be the tie that binds. I don't know, there's something about that I love. And if we could be part of the tie that binds ourselves together, whether if you think of us as a group of people standing in a circle with a string wrapped around us to bring us together, however you think, but blessed be the tie that binds. And the other thing is, we who believe in freedom cannot rest until freedom comes. And that is with me every single day. When I wake up, when I go to school, when I go to sleep, we who believe in freedom cannot, we who believe in freedom are not free until freedom comes. I mean, it's just
Yes.
so
Amen.
those two things, blessed be the tie that binds, and we who believe in freedom cannot rest until freedom comes. And those are just really important things as we head up organizations, as we act in so-called leadership roles. I mean, we have to realize that we're not the people ourselves.
Yes.
We are part of the people, and it's we the people. It's not I the people. It's like we the people. So, I mean, those are things that I think are really important.
That we're so much stronger together. We're so much stronger in community. We're so much more healthy. We're so much more resilient when we have connections. And I think that that's what I want to get out of these conversations, just individually with you, with all my guests, but also have you guys, my guests talk about that. And every guest that I've had has talked about, and I hope that all of them will talk about the relationships that they have had, that have taught them, that have supported them, that have shared with them. And you've talked about that throughout this conversation, about how other people have always been important to you. And you've just talked about that sort of our will and our goals bigger than ourselves. Something bigger than ourselves is really what life is all about and what will carry us to the next version of our race, of our creed, of the people. It will only be that we have more community, not less. It speaks so highly of your approach when you can say, someone who's lived through systemic and outward abhorrent racism, someone who has had a speech impediment, someone whose wife died in his arms and left him with young children, and all the other pain and suffering that I'm sure you've had to go through, but that you focus on the things that have been uplifting, that have brought you joy, that have been the 94% or 96% of the things, because that is the case, is that most everything is actually okay, but we often we don't focus on that. And so it's such great advice. And I want to take this opportunity to be in gratitude for you and your life, because you have, first of all, you've given me some time today to get to know you. Beyond that, or before that, you've been a leader in our community. You've been a leader in my community, specifically as even a father figure. My father was around, but he wasn't like present. And so seeing you as being, my friend's father and that strong male influence, even from afar, Arnold, and we didn't have a lot of conversations, but I saw you move through the world and you showed me what it was like to be a man, even though you didn't actually know that you were doing that. I took note of you as a father and how you paid attention to your children and how you disciplined Miles and how you spoke to him and how you were an authority in a lot of ways. And I'm sure you learned a lot, but I just want to express my gratitude for you being just who you were. And without even knowing, I'm sure that you offered this mentorship and model for me. And then, of course, just sharing your story today with my listeners, who's ever out there. And of course, any other support. I've also was so in gratitude for, I got a chance to, it was an adult moment for me to, when I was in the court system and you had a case and you came into the court system, and man, I started sweating. I was like, oh my God, I'm actually the client is someone that I looked up to, that was a father figure, that was a mentor. And we had a really good case, as I remember, and you let me lead. And that was I felt like an adult that day more than any other day. So I just want to thank you for the work that you've done for the community. Thank you for the work that you did for our society, for the mentoring that you do for the young people, and for the connection that you make with people in San Quentin. And obviously for being a great father to my good friend, and for coming on the Hometown Freds podcast today.
Well, I want to thank you for the honor of being on your podcast, because, there are hundreds of people out there, and I was the one that you selected to be on this podcast. And I'm really honored, and just been great watching you move through the world, with family, with friends. And so thank you for thinking of me and allowing me this opportunity to share who I am. And so I'm an open book.
Well, I so appreciate your time today, and thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Not only do I hope you appreciated Arnold's story, as I think it teaches us a lot about how to live. His interview also made me think about one of the unique qualities of hometown friendships, that we are often influenced by the parents of the friends we grew up with. When I met my friend Miles in middle school, his mother had recently died in a tragic accident, and his father, Arnold, was the parent that was present for him. He was always at the school functions, jazz concerts, and birthday parties that I attended. He towered over us, and he was a strong and mighty man. I was always intimidated, but over time, I was more struck by his style of parenting. His confidence and kindness always stuck out to me. His fatherly presence was unlike my own, and he was one of the many fathers in my community that influenced me by giving me a powerful model of manhood. Research consistently supports this idea that childhood friendships and the associated environments we interact with them in, particularly the interactions with our friends' parents, play a significant role in shaping an individual's adult identity. Studies indicate that exposure to a diverse model of behavior, social norms through these extended relationships contributes to the development of the self. This body of research underscores the importance of childhood friendships and the influences outside of the immediate family in fostering identity formation. The awareness of the impact of our childhood friendships and their families have had on our lives is an essential component to the integration of the self. And I hope this podcast encourages gratitude for these friendships and for their families. This awareness has not only encouraged me to have appreciation for these relationships, but to see how much I and my peers have benefited from feeling connected to a community of caring people. All of us benefit from these connections, and our children and our children's children will need to experience the same thing. We are facing a crisis of social isolation and loneliness in our society. So I have formed a social health nonprofit organization called Tribe One to address this crisis. And with the help of my board of directors, we will be developing friendship and belonging initiatives, including this podcast, to attempt to make a difference. I hope you will join me in this mission, and I will link the website in the show notes. I'm asking you to financially support this cause with a tax-deductible donation or even just a quick comment or email to let us know that you do. Please share this show with others. Please also take a minute to subscribe and follow us. Let us know if you have a story to share or another way to help us. Stay tuned and stay connected.
We fall down.